And that's been my argument. Without God, you don't have the basis for meaning, morals, beauty, ethics, logic, nothing. That's my argument.
So what you're saying is that not only are you okay with like the fact that you're admitting to a logical fallacy, but that you openly and
what kind of logical fallacy are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that you literally just said that it's not your job to prove yourself right because you are right because the Bible says that you're right. Essentially.
I don't know that I said it that way.
You're right, you didn't say it in those many words, but what you were saying is that it's not your job to prove that you're correct because only a infinite and an omniscient being could ever be like providing that kind of evidence, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. Certainty, in other words, doesn't come from me.
Right.
It comes from a God who knows everything and then reveals himself to us.
Right. And
who becomes the necessary precondition for intelligibility.
So you got your evidence from the Bible, right?
Ultimately, I got my evidence from God.
Right. Which God?
The God of Christianity.
Right.
Only the God of Christianity.
Right.
He has three modes of revelation: creation, Scripture, and incarnation.
So here's the thing: is that if I were to write an essay, just about my worldview, for example, and I were to cite my own essay, does that make sense?
If it was a consistent citation, if it was necessary in order for the essay to be written in the first place, yes.
So what you're saying is that
the logical fallacy you're trying to articulate here is called the logical fallacy of circular reasoning.
It is circular reasoning,
right.
Absolutely.
Circular reasoning is not fallacious if it is consistent. Don't you agree?
I believe that circular reasoning is a consistent logical fallacy, like at all times. For you,
at all times?
For you to say, I have evidence because my evidence is evidence.
Right, well, no, what I'm saying is this, is if Christianity is true in the way that it says it's true, then all authority is found in Christianity. To appeal to an external authority other than Christianity would mean that Christianity is not the authority.
Right, so what you're saying...
Which would contradict your claim of the all-authority,
and you don't
authoritative Christian God.
You don't see that as a logical fallacy in
itself?
itself?
No, sir, I see it as a consistent, virtuous circle, not a vicious, logical, fallacious circle. A lot of things are presupposed as you prove them. Don't you agree?
I believe that that's not the point that we're talking about right now.
No, well, I'm trying to show you, first of all, that certain circular arguments are valid. For example, can you prove the laws of logic without logic?
That's a good point, except not really, because...
It's a branch of epistemology, actually.
Right.
If you don't know epistemologically how to prove the laws of logic without logic...
So what you're saying is, by your logic... I'm sorry, something funny?
No, I'm saying that fact has to be firmly grasped.
But what you're saying is that, again, like, so going back to my concept of providing your own essay as a citation, that makes sense to you?
In the same way that using the laws of logic to prove the laws of logic makes sense. Yes, it's necessary. That's like me asking you, can you prove to us the validity of your reason without your reason?
But see, yours is based upon a 2,000-year-old folktale and book that is using itself as its own justification for everything that's done in its name. So, like, you're basically saying it's okay for me to...
Well, that's a factual claim. I'm going to ask you how you have the basis for morals, meaning, and beauty in the first place. In other words, if you don't have the basis in your worldview for logic, how can you make logical claims?
Oh, so by your reasoning, I don't have a basis for morality without the Bible?
Of course not.
Okay. I was raised irreligious. I have never had any desire to commit anything that's considered a sin. And the sense of, a mortal sin or anything along those lines. So where did I get that from?
You have a God-given conscience, according to the Bible, Romans chapter 2.
But you just said earlier that, like, I'm not saved. What was it that you said about...
No. What I said is that my argument is without biblical Christianity, you do not have the foundations for meaning, morals, or beauty.
So I have no foundation for meanings, morals, and beauty?
No, sir.
That's...
Not without God, you don't.
Man, that sucks to find that out, like, right now.
Well, it should, the Bible calls it in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, it calls demolishing every argument that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, to bringing down the strongholds of false reason. And that's because in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 18 and following, it says, God has taken the wisdom of this world and made it foolish so that it's not capable of reason. It's called futility in the Bible. Futile mind, futile thinking. The Bible says the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. That's not the Bible engaging in name calling. No, hold on. That's not the Bible engaging in name calling. That's the Bible putting you in the proper category. Once you say there is no God, all you're left with is folly.
I mean, I'm enjoying life. I'm living life
Oh,
fine.
no, don't get me wrong. I've said earlier, I believe that you live in a moral, rational, reasonable way every single day of your life, but not because of your worldview, because of mine. So in other words, the most ardent atheist lives like a Christian theist every day of his life. Thou shalt not steal, shalt not murder. I mean, I had an atheist here guy last week, and he was and I ran him through the commandments. I said, I'll prove it to you. Do you let people disrespect your mother and father? Of course, you mean like honor thy mother and thy father. And I ran him through. I'm like, see, every day of your life. And I tell you what, you never live in a postmodern way, not consistently, not unless it suits your interests. You ever bought a car?
And you think that's not societal? That's not anything along those lines? That's
or maybe societal. Well, society is just it's just systemic of the deeper issue, which is sin. So you either have a fallen epistemology or you have a redeemed epistemology. Everyone has an epistemology. It just depends which one do you have. And what I'm saying is that prior to being redeemed by Jesus Christ, where he literally, Romans chapter 12, renews your mind so that you can think the thoughts of God accurately after him. If God doesn't renew your mind, then you're left in a futile mind. And futile thinking does not get you anywhere. You know where futile thinking gets you? It gets you to this. I know it for certain. I don't know anything for certain. You know how many times students have told me that on the microphone?
I'm guessing it's a great
Hundreds,
quote.
maybe thousands of times.
It's a great quote.
No. It's what they say.
No, I know, but they didn't come up with that themselves.
No, they do. They don't always say it in that exact wording. I'm illustrating something. They come to like I had a girl here on the other day, and she says on the microphone, she says, I'm a nihilist. Life has no meaning. And then she starts going through in her mind, well, just because life has no meaning, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't. And she's like, because once you say life has no meaning, what's about to come out of your mouth is meaningless.
Yeah.
Welcome to your worldview without God.
That what, like the worldview without God is meaningless? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah. So here's the thing: once you surrender God, like she did, right? And she says she denies God and rejects, the Bible and everything else, right? I tried to show her, and she even came up. She said, "I'm a nihilist, a nihilist, whatever you want to say." I've been corrected on my pronunciation, but
nihilist.
You know what I mean. As a nihilist, she says life. She says this: life has no meaning, and then she went on and on. Just because life has no meaning, that doesn't mean that I can't do meaningful things. Is that a consistent worldview? I thought you said life has no meaning.
Well, to say
how can you be doing meaningful things?
That's an improper way to phrase it, but saying that life has no meaning and therefore I will provide meaning within myself. Like, for example, I don't think that life inherently has any meaning whatsoever. Okay. But I think that is...
Wait a minute, is that your personal conviction you just said, or is that you actually are saying life has no meaning?
I don't think that it matters if life has meaning.
Okay, so are the words that are about to come out of your mouth, are they meaningful or meaningless?
I think that meaning is subjective, not objective.
Okay, so is the phrase that you just spoke, that meaning is subjective, is that subjective?
Yes.
Then why would you say it?
Why not? Why are you standing in a street corner?
Because it's subjective.
So
that's called futility, my friend. You want to talk about logical fallacy? That is completely fallacious and futile. It actually leads to an infinite regression. I don't know if you've ever heard of the philosophical category, the truth in many minds, right? The problem is everyone here is free to postulate any worldview they want in that system. Right. Everyone assigns whatever conventional meaning they want. And if meaning is conventional, then my dear friend, you cannot object to anyone's worldview whatsoever.
Right. Which allows me to also ingest and enjoy other people's worldviews instead of standing on a street corner and telling other people that their worldviews are wrong.
Yeah, you don't live consistently like that, but sure. I mean, there's a thief that has convinced himself, you know what, stealing is meaningless, like you say. Therefore, when I break into your house and steal from you, that too is meaningless, and therefore you shouldn't call the cops, because calling the cops would be meaningless in a meaningless world. Do you live like that?
So
Have
what
you
you're
ever bought a car?
Uh,
I've bought many cars, unfortunately. It's the worst process in the world.
Yeah, that's
when
not,
you sit in the finance office, no,
regardless
hold
of
on a
what
second.
you're
When you sit in the finance office, you go through this grueling task, and usually the person's trying to rip you off. And you go line by line, you go through like 20 itemized things on the list. At any point in time, you think anyone in the history of postmodern culture ever came to the bottom line and said, you know what? I hear you're postmodern, so am I. What's a few lines? Just, who cares what the numbers are? No! You got a calculator, your wife's sitting there yelling at you. Every penny has to be accounted for. Why?
That's weird to get wives all of a sudden.
No, it's a good thing. She's being frugal. She's saying, honey, you better get this deal right. Apparently, you've never gone through this process. I have. When my wife is sitting there going, numbers don't add up. You see what I'm saying? We get mad even at a cash register when the numbers don't add up.
Your point being that
you don't live consistent.
If your life is meaningless, then why do you basically exist without?
Yes, sir. That's the question I'm going to ask you.
Why not?
Yeah. So you're comfortable with an arbitrary self-refuting worldview. I am not.
Why not?
Because I'm a Christian, and according to the Bible, there is truth and there's error, there's light and there's darkness. I will not put the Bible aside, sir. That would be immoral.
But that's the thing.
That would be dishonest and immoral because my entire worldview is predicated on the Bible.
Right, so you will never, ever listen to other opinions because you're proving yourself correct.
I'll listen to other opinions, but I will interpret.
But you'll ignore them and say the Bible's right.
But listen, I'll listen to as many opinions as you want to give me. However, like you, I will interpret those opinions in light of my worldview.
Right, exactly. However,
so how can you
mine
ask
is
me to set my
informed.
worldview aside?
My worldview is based upon multiple sources. Yours is literally one book.
I mean, that's a logical fallacy and an irrelevant thesis. So what? How does that follow? It's also a non sequitur because just because I have one source and you have many, that doesn't follow
guys,
that you're right and I'm wrong.
If you were to provide like an essay with literally one source and like it's literally just one that hasn't been like peer reviewed or anything like those lines, would that be okay for any of your essays? Would that be cool? Yeah, that wouldn't work, right? Yeah, so why does it work for literally everything that you like approach your life with?
Because your comparison is fallacious. We're not talking about writing an essay. We're talking
about that word, but that doesn't mean anything.
We're talking about accounting for the total worldview. I'm saying you.
So if anything, that's worse. If anything, that's worse. Literally, like if I get like a C because I didn't provide enough provide enough sources, that just sucks.
According to your worldview, why are you at school for crying out loud? If life has
because
no
I
meaning,
choose to be.
But if life has no meaning, why choose to take tests and studies
because I choose
for something that has no meaning?
Because I choose to.
Well, I know that, but you're just espousing.
But why do I choose to?
But that's insanity. Then you've espoused your own insanity.
No.
I know that my life is meaningless, but I choose to do it anyway. I mean, well, thank you for telling us how insane you are.
So
this is what happens to you when you deny your creator. You're left with this.
I'm left with insanity, or am I left with being insulted by a random guy standing on a street corner?
No, you're left with absurdity because of your worldview.
Yeah,
just like the Bible says. The fool has said in his heart there is no God.
And that's not an insult, that's just the terminology, right?
To surrender God is to adopt folly. And you've proven it to me yet again. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Unless you can adopt a different worldview where you can account for morals, meaning, beauty, logic, mathematics.
Beauty is also subjective.
The law of uniformity of nature. Can you account for anything? I say beauty because aesthetics is very important. It's kind of minimized and undermined quite a bit in apologetics and Christian worldview even. But aesthetics is very important. Aesthetics is the reason why in our culture, at least right now, to some degree, we don't allow public pornography to be just paraded around. You'll be arrested for indecency. You see what I'm saying? But the Roman Empire, because of its aesthetics, thought it was perfectly fine to erect statues of naked people all over the public.
Subjective morality again.
Subjective to you, not me.
Right, because of your book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your book could be right.
Do you have a reason why I've been studying it carefully for about 25 years now.
I don't know, man. I mean, I read like Green Eggs and Ham like 30 times, but that doesn't mean that
if you think it compares to the Bible, that's your problem, not mine. You obviously don't know what the Bible is.
It's a book.
It's actually 66 books written by 40 authors over 1,500 years of time on 3 different continents.
1,500 years worth of the game of telephone.
25,000 manuscripts we have for the Bible, 6,000 manuscripts just for the Greek New Testament.
And a lot of those are contradicting each other.
When you compare, you have to show me. When you compare the textual manuscript, and most people will go to Google at this point. When you compare the textual manuscript,
you're right. Why would I go to literally a source of information that it has access to, like thousands and millions of sources, instead of just your book?
You see how you interpret everything?
You see yours?
Yes, I do. I confess my bias, and I'm telling you, my friend.
Then you negate your logic.
No, you don't.
If you are literally saying that my only source
you're the one
is
trying to operate on a pretended neutrality. There is no neutrality. You are not morally, epistemically neutral. You have a pre-commitment. You have an entire network of assumptions that you bring to the table to interpret any given fact.
I am shaped by the society
universe.
that I am raised in. I am shaped by those who have raised me. I am shaped by all of these things.
And the Bible, knowing that, tells you that until you submit your mind to Christ, you will never know the truth.
That it's right.
And Jesus says, once you know the truth will set you free.
I'm sorry, but if I just go off of a person saying I'm right because, I'm telling you I'm right.
No, well, here's. Can I make an illustration?
Go for it. I mean,
okay.
Neither of us have anything better to do, apparently.
Aristotle was asked, how do you know the laws of logic are true? You know what he said? Try to deny them. Mm-hmm. You couldn't want a better argument than to say, in the attempt to deny something, you depend on something. That proves they exist.
So you're proving... So in your argument...
I would say irrefutably so. Yeah, try to deny the laws of logic without logic. Good luck. I don't think you're going to do it. You know why? 4,000 years of philosophy has not been able to.
Because, I mean, like...
now on the microphone right now at UNT, you're going to use logic without logic. You're going to prove the laws of logic without the laws of logic.
Do you want to apply that same logic to literally everything?
No, not everything. Some things are can be viciously circular, but something
not this.
Well, something that is abstract, universal, immaterial, like the laws of logic, okay, or the truth of Christianity, which is immaterial, universal, abstract notions of epistemology and history, okay, things like that. All right, those things, okay, are accounted for in different ways. I got news for you. Christianity is not based on empiricism. Jesus told Thomas, when Thomas said, I will not believe in Jesus until I can touch the wounds in his hands and the scar in his side that he was stabbed with on the cross. I will not believe. You know what Jesus told Thomas? Thomas appeared to him after the resurrection. Thomas touched his scars, and he fell down, and he said, Hakurias Hafeas. And what he was saying was, my Lord and my God. And Jesus said to him, Thomas, because you have seen, you believe. But blessed are those who do not see and still believe. What is Jesus saying? Christianity does not stand and fall on empirical observation.
You're right.
It's
Where'd you hear
than that.
That's a really good point and really good story. Where'd you hear that?
In the Bible. Of course. How much clearer, my friend, can I be?
No, you've been very clear.
The Bible.
But that's the thing, is that...
Like you will not set aside your atheistic presupposition.
Yeah, I'm currently working right now, but I got one.
No, it's just funny though, because
at least I'm honest about my assumptions. You're not.
No, I literally.
You're trying to be neutral.
Hey, gang! Did I just say that I am informed?
No, you can talk to me, man. It's okay.
No, it's okay. I just need to make sure I'm not going crazy because you keep negating things I've said. So again, did I not just say that I am informed by the society that has shaped me and things along those lines? I said that, right? Cool, neat. So.
Yeah.
So. You get it?
It's exactly what I told you the moment you got on the microphone. Yeah. You have a network of assumptions that you will not relinquish.
And you have one.
So what? That's an irrelevant thesis.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
Just because I have one, that's a non sequitur argument.
See,
just because you have many and I have
you
one,
want to talk about futility?
that does not mean...
Arguing with you is futile.
Well, you're free to go.
I know, but that's the thing, is that you also standing here, what is...
You don't have a ball and chain.
No, I'm not. I don't.
I think this conversation was actually quite stimulating for everybody.
I think it was, in fact.
I don't think it is futile.
More so I think it was entertaining.
In my worldview, I believe everything has meaning. Everything. Even futility. Even futility is in the category...
But then what's so wrong with futility?
It's the category that helps us to understand the contrast of a futile and meaningful worldview. Yeah. And so in the Bible, man, I tell you what, you read the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, and the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible is brutally honest. Because it tells you that life without God is brutally futile.
You like the Bible. This guy wants to go next.
Oh, it was good talking to you.